Yeah, you know, I just don't understand why adults that have been in the workforce for, let's give them 5+ years. So they kind of know what to expect. They're out of college, or maybe they're, I don't know, five years as a professional, 5 years as an adult in the world. I don't understand how you can't do the job that's asked of you without hand holding, without babysitting, without meetings, without going over something 7 times. Can you put that down in an email? Can we I don't understand. I don't know. It's becoming harder and harder to be a business owner and keep your sanity.
I hear you there. Is this all related to billing?
No, I mean it's a little bit of um, one of my businesses, but like one of our businesses is in the red, $20,000. We've got a line of credit out that we've been feeding off of, and people just don't understand that work for you, what it takes, and they don't understand how to rally and be a team and commit to the purpose, the bigger picture. It's all about, well, when do I get my raise? And I don't like how so and so in my department is slacking and the responsibilities are on my shoulders. Can you talk to them for me? I just it's wild to me how you get away from an industry or an environment of professionals that are striving for excellence that fall short all the time, but just get back on their feet and figure the shit out without this victim card where I just need somebody to do it for me. I need to be told I'm great. I don't know. It's a whirlwind that Jess and I are in, and we're just trying to navigate it with patience because there's days where it's like, is it really worth it to run your as opposed to just showing up and clocking in and really not giving a shit or not or being completely ignorant to the fact that like there's some bigger picture here. It'd be interesting to live in those shoes for a couple days.
A lot of people want jobs and they just want to have a job that they clock in and they clock out and they're kind of told what to do. They're anticipating management. They're anticipating a boss. But then they spend a lot of time in places on forums, whether they're social forums, whether they're talking to friends or family, and then they get told, well, it's not fair, or you need to hold out for more money, or you need to tell your boss that you need a raise because, right? And so they live in this perpetual cycle of, I have a job and I really know I'm doing my job really, really well, but please don't ask me to do anything outside of that job because you haven't trained me to do that, or it's not in my job description. I hate job descriptions, by the way. I hate writing them, and I hate having to go back and reference to them because in the end, a job description really should say various tasks will be made, or brought to your attention that you will have to do to continue to do this job. Well, how come that wasn't in the description? It just came up. I mean, you literally almost want to just say various tasks are expected to
Right.
be, you know,
And I think it's what you just said makes me think about this lacking adaptability across just every arena and every industry that I don't know if it's not being self-taught or there's no discovery. People don't care. They don't want to be adaptable. So they just don't have that trait. They've lost it. They've never acquired it. I don't know. I've been thinking about that a lot lately. And it's something I've been trying to navigate with some of my own personal endeavors. And then it's been work with my clients. I've talked to Jess a lot about it. how do you know if someone is adaptable when you're interviewing them, when you bring them on board? We do a 90-day in most of the businesses where we have employees, because I can't tell you after an interview and a couple phone calls and some screening if you're going to be a fit. Like, I need you around. I need you to pass the test where I like to be around you.
Yeah.
And if you're annoying, like, I might not know that until, a week or two. But adaptability to the unknown, to the uncertain, to the, hey, yeah, that's not on the job description. You think you can tackle this today? No, I don't know how. Well, are you willing to like go figure it out? Well, I don't get paid to do that.
There it
Okay,
is.
get the fuck
There.
out of here, right? Like,
Yeah.
I think back to our days in the military. I can't imagine being in an environment now, today, where people are like, I don't know how to do it, but I can't wait to figure it out. Like, I might mess it up. This is going to be ugly, but like, I love that. Yes, go make a mess and become a learner through that process. But you just don't get that anymore. You don't get the hunger and the thirst for learning something new and thinking outside of the box and just fucking put your feet in the water and see. Oh no, it's too cold. Well, I mean, okay, enjoy life, man.
Yeah.
Uh, and so this adaptability thing has been really bothering me because I'm realizing you find out too late that someone is either not willing or just incapable of being adaptable to an ever-changing environment that we're all living in.
Yeah. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. One of the things we're trying to change right now at the cave is if we can get this thing, and we're still in the red zone, but we haven't completed the score yet, if you will. If you I know you understand the football analogy there. But one of the things we're talking about doing is anybody who comes and works for us is going to be a 1099. You're going to be a contract employee. All right. So you're going to sign on as a contractor, and we're going to pay you at a very competitive rate. And it's going to help you and it's going to help us. It's going to help you because you're going to maximize your income potential. You're also going to maximize your ability to utilize the tax code, right? Now you're an independent contractor. So if you have to drive to and from work, you get to, write off a portion or all of your car, your insurance. You get to go on that road. However, it's going to hold you more accountable in your personal life on saving that extra money, making sure that when the government comes to you and says, "Hey, oh, by the way, you owe us some," that you've got an account set up where you write that check for the government. But I've told these young people that work for us, hey, this is going to be better for you and it's going to be better for us. It's going to be better for you because you're going to make more money. It's going to be better for us because now we don't pay any of these employment taxes that we have to pay if you're an employee. We also don't have to offer you any benefits, right? Any benefits that you get from working for us will be forthcoming. Don't know what they may or may not be. It might be access to a country club. It might be access to um, uh, hell, every year we'll bring in an accountant, and the accountant will sit down with everybody in the office and do all of your taxes, and it'll be free. We'll pay for that, right? Maybe once a year we'll bring in an investment vehicle to where if you want to start investing some of your monies at age 20 or age 25 or age 30 or 35, however old these people are, if you want to start investing, here's somebody who's going to spend, a good 2 hours with you on our dime, and they're going to set you up on an investment vehicle, right? Those are some of the benefits that we're talking about offering our client, or not our clients, our employees at no charge, right? The only thing we ask is that they go 1099 contractors, be a contractor. Don't be an employee, be a contractor, be a partner with me. That way, then when you start talking to them, you can start saying, hey, as a contractor, here's the expectations that we have for you. And they're going to expand. We're going to expect that you're going to bring some of your thoughts, some of your ideas. Maybe you've got a different angle. We welcome that kind of conversation. And I've started having those conversations with some of the people in my office. I don't have that many, got three of them. And two of them are pretty open to it. But one of them just very much is not comfortable with it. And it's a maturity thing. It's an age. it's a time in adulthood thing. It's a, you know, I really feel better if I have, if the state's taking out the taxes and if you're doing my payroll and if you're doing, and it's like, we're going to do your payroll. We're going to pay you through ADP, but it's just going to be a round number. Every 2 weeks, it's going to be a round number. It's going to be, $2,000 in your account every 2 weeks. You figure everything else out. So we're trying to massage this to where I could then instead of these youth young adults, instead of saying, hey, we're going to pay you $20 an hour, how about I pay you $28 an hour? Right? I'm going to pay you $28 an hour, and this is what my expectations are going to be. Right? And we'll just lay out the expectations, base expectations. You'll clock in, and you don't have to clock in and clock out. You'll just be here between the hours of X and X. And if we need you after hours, it's part of the job. If we need you to come in on a weekend and provide hyperbaric chamber services, that's just part of the job. Okay. There's no overtime, it's not extra. And then as we start to become profitable again, we'll start talking about profitability metrics. And are there bonuses? And are there quarterly bonuses? Maybe we start kicking your way, et cetera. So that's the kind of partnership we're trying to slowly talk about and foster with these young people. Because, we've gotten so comfortable in the workforce of, I need a job that's going to pay me and give me benefits. I want healthcare benefits. Okay, what is that? And I've asked them. I said, what does that mean to you? What do you, and they'll say, what do you mean? I'll go, what do healthcare benefits mean to you? How much healthcare are you consuming? Are you chronically ill? No. When was the last time you went and had a wellness exam, a physical exam? When's the last time you had your blood drawn? When's the last time whatever? Well, I'm not sick. I don't. So again, I'm going to go back to the question is, what do you need from healthcare? And then it
Uh,
becomes well, what if?
yeah.
Okay, let's just do the what if game. What if? What if you get in a car accident? Yeah. And then you want healthcare. Okay. Well, you can go through Colorado Cares right now and you can buy a very, very affordable major medical policy through Colorado Cares. There you go. Why should I have to provide that for you as an employee? Well, because you're required to by law. No, I'm not, because I don't hire employees. I employ contractors. And so I'm starting to try and get them to think a little more independently. And because the big conversation is, if you have more of your own money in your hard-earned pocket, then you get to decide where it goes. You get to decide what you're going to do with it. You get to be the consumer choice person versus, okay, let's just say that we do offer healthcare through the company. And then you're like, yay, I have healthcare. And your deductible is, let's just say you're an individual, you're 25 years old and you're single and that's it, right? And you're healthy. Well, your every 2 week deductible on your pay is going to be about $250. So you're paying $500. I'm sorry, not your deductible, your premium. Your premium is $500 a month. And then if you do get into a car accident or if there is a problem, you have a deductible of, let's say, 8 grand. Can you afford that 8 grand, $8,000 deductible? No, no, I can't. Well, then what kind of health care are you really paying for? You know? So I'm trying to get people to think like this who work for me, to say it makes more sense for you at this age to shop what the state of Colorado provides for you versus expecting an employer to then carry through Blue Cross Blue Shield or United or Kaiser, whomever that is. Then we have to pay a fee, and then you pay a fee, and then there's more. Why would you want to go down that road? But
Mhm.
that's what we've been taught, Ryan. That's what everybody has been fed. We have been sheepled along the route that is exactly what has to be done, and that's exactly what's going to be happening. And that's kind of an angle we're trying to go down. And it may or may not happen. We'll see.
I think it's interesting. I did a short, gosh, it was about a year and a half, 2 year stint I'm sure I mentioned to you at some point where I was a partner. We bought a franchise for a medical wound care business that was mobile in nature. Maybe I told you, I'm pretty sure I
No.
did. No?
Uh-uh.
So yeah, back in right after I finished at Marathon, so that was 2022. I got into that right away. It was creeping in before I left. But what's interesting is when you talk about this, position being less driven towards the employee who's just, this is what we do. We get a job, and then what are my benefits? This independent contractor. So we hired, me and my partner at the time who owned the franchise hired a bunch of nurse practitioners to go out and do the wound care.
Yeah.
And it was fascinating because we told everybody up front, like, hey, you're an independent contractor. Like, here's how this works. We're going to get the patients and we're basically going to give you all the information and you go do your job. And we'll pay you per. And there were some other perks with equipment and stuff. I mean, we had bags of equipment we would give them to take to the homes. But you learn really quickly who aligns with that model and who it scares the daylights out of. And what's interesting is the people that scared, they didn't know what they were scared of.
Yeah.
It was the unknown. It was the, wait, hold on a second. So if I'm an independent, like, do I have to go and like go register at the state of business? Yeah, you got to start a business
Yeah.
and you can call it your name. You can call
Right.
it whatever you want. And then you essentially run your business through that LLC, or if you want to get crazy, you can do an S corp or a C corp, but just start with an LLC or a sole prop. And they're like, no, 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 that seems like too much work. Like, I'd
Right.
rather have you just employ me. And it's like, wow. And I mean, these were 30 and 40-year-old nurse practitioners who had been in the medical industry for more than a decade. And
Yep.
it's fascinating to me. And I love how you're trying to change the language and get people to understand the perks because there's some beautiful, independent, like, yes, they're responsibilities, but they're perks, they're benefits behind starting a company with the Secretary of State and running your taxes and like having these write-offs, and you get mileage and you get deductions and you get all this stuff. And then you go shop for your own plan, like you said, or maybe I just hire a functional medicine doctor who I'm going to pay 200 bucks a month. I don't know, but it was interesting. And I love hearing you talk about this because I feel as if people, they either are wired away to jump in that boat or not. And then the people that are not are kind of this divided group where some of them are like, man, I really want to kind of understand this. I like the idea of being on my own and not really reporting to a boss. This sounds awesome. Let me go figure this out. And then the other people who are like, no, 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 no. I want that $8,000 deductible health insurance because it just sounds easier to me.
Yeah. Well, you just said something else that's really interesting. I I want to be my own boss, and I want to run my own. This is me. I do my own thing. And then you flip that over and you say, well, wait a second. No, I want to have a boss, and I want to have someone who's going to manage me. And then I really want someone who I can complain about. That's really what they want. I want to have someone who I can complain about, because when that boss then holds me accountable, I don't like that. I want that. I want to complain. And then I want to gossip with my counterpart. I want to gossip with my coworker. When somebody questions my effort, or somebody questions my intentions, or somebody questions my attitude, I want this. I want somebody to question my attitude. Hey, what's going on today? It seems like you're a little pissed off, or is something I said? You want to chat about it? No, I'm fine. Hands in pockets, arms folded, right? No, I'm fine. And then, okay. And then chirp, 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 talk, talk, talk to my friend. Oh my God. If I'm going to quit, if he keeps talking to me, bye, quit. If you don't want to have a conversation, adult conversation about your attitude, or if you don't want to be questioned, be an independent contractor. And then you can make the statement, hey, listen, I'm an independent contractor. I'm here working for you. We're supposed to be working on this together. Let's have a little more better dialogue. Oh, love to have better dialogue. Because as an employee, I'm your manager. As an independent contractor, we're partnered together. So let's both figure out how this works. Now, the one thing that I have that you want is the opportunity to work for and with this team. And at any given time, I can terminate your contract. If you're not working well, then I can terminate your contract. And I could say, hey, listen, at the end of the month, we're terminating contracts. Sorry. Yeah, we're going in a different direction. Now I don't have to deal with HR. Now I don't have to deal with an HR jacket and writing all this kind of stuff up. I just made the decision as the company to terminate all of my contracts related to XXXX. And bye. Now, or I'm going to terminate your contract and we're going to renegotiate it. If you're still interested in working here, we're going to sit down and we're going to renegotiate the contract. We're going to pay you more money. Are we going to expect more hours? We're going to do less hours, less money, whatever. And if you want to keep doing this, then this is what and it gives both people, both sides, a lot more flexibility to control, I think, the narrative and the situation. I think people are used to having a boss and man, yeah, I met my boss. Yeah, I don't know. He seems okay. Well, I don't know. He's really demanding, or I don't like him very much. But you took the job. Yeah, I know. I know, but I don't know. I'm gonna talk to my fellow employees and we're gonna gossip about him behind his back. And hopefully that never gets to him. I mean, what are we doing, with employees these days? And what are employees doing working in an environment to what they bring nothing to the table but the hours that they put in, to the point you just made. Are they adaptable? Now, if you ask them that question, hey, in an interview, talk to me about your adaptability. Talk to me about when you had a situation where it was confusing, but yet you just stepped outside of the box and you kind of said, well, hey, I'm going to try this, or I did this, or, I went to Chat GTP and I just Googled, or I wrote this out and this is what came up. Hey, that was actually pretty smart, but people don't do that, right? Because they have the job and you have to give me, this, and I worked overtime. You need to pay my overtime hours. We just had this little issue. One of the employees put in some overtime. And so they got paid on their payroll, but the overtime pay didn't go through for some reason. It was our fault. The billing, the payroll guy made an error. So the employee got all huffy and sniffy, right? Well, the employee didn't just go straight to me and or my counterpart and say, "Hey, I got paid, but the overtime pay wasn't in there." She went passive aggressive, and it got back. So it got back to me. So I picked up the phone. I called my partner and I said, "Hey, I just picked this up." And he's like, "What's wrong with her? Why didn't she just call me, or why didn't she just send me an email?" I said, "I don't know, bro, but just go into freaking ACH and just ACH her." He goes, "All right, hold on a second, Christian." So he pulls up the computer and he's like, "Just so you know, full disclosure, we owe her 14 extra dollars." I said, "I got a $20 bill in my wallet, Rich. Why don't I just hand her the 20 and tell her she owes me $6 back?" And he just starts laughing. He goes, "No, no, no, no. I'm going to do the ACH transfer right now of the $14.23. I was like, "Yeah,
Yes.
as you should, as you should." But this is the kind of stuff that you deal with. And is it that big of a deal? No, I could have easily gone, "My bad. Here's $20. You'd probably rather have that in cash, right?" So we've also talked about paying our employees in cash
Oh my
as
goodness.
our contractors in cash.
Yeah.
Every 2 weeks, we could just go to the bank and we could just pull the cash out, and then we could just come, walk into the office and say that here's your envelope. This is what you did this week, and this is what you did these last 2 weeks. Here you go. Here's your cash.
And again, when you step back and you look at this is one or two pieces that we're referring to. We use a TPA, a third party administrator, right? I'm sure you guys have someone, or you understand the lingo, but for those that don't, it's that agency that covers kind of your HR and covers your payroll services and covers all of the tracking and the employees. So you don't
Yeah.
have an HR person in office, right? So we spend a lot of money on our TPA and one of our businesses, and it's like, wow, we could save a lot of money by, you know, skinning some of this stuff away and just, again, simplifying the process. But there's this fear, that fear of like, well, then is my stuff going to get taken care of? And I don't know. Like I had a conversation with Jess last week. We met with two employees for 3 hours straight. I
Gosh.
finally had to leave and go to the bathroom because I'm like, guys, I'm a hydrator. Like I'm gonna float away here. I have to leave. And I went to the bathroom and my head, I'm like throbbing in my brain because it was trying to troubleshoot two people's issues that they can't communicate in front of each other. So I get a phone call from one of them, and then I get an email from the other one. And I'm like, guys, this is so much easier. Like, you are wasting my time. You're wasting your time composing an email. I have to read it. I have to respond. Like, let's just all sit down, have a meeting, and let's just chat like adults. Can't do it. It's too uncomfortable. I'm afraid to say this or that. Well, I mean, at the end of the day, like we're not here to make any stories up. Like, let's just tell the truth. Why can't we just literally come to the table, tell the truth in a meeting, and have someone either go, "Oh, I didn't take it that way. I took it that you were trying to have me do this. Oh, I'm sorry. Let's work on our communication. I'm gonna deliver differently because I know now you might perceive it this way." Like, why can't we have these productive conversations and then walk away and feel like we gained some ground? Yet it's 3 hours, Christian, 3 hours that neither one of us had time to sit there for 3 hours. And then yesterday, is today? Yeah, yesterday, I get a long email from one of those two employees complaining about stuff that was addressed in the meeting. Like, this is what I feel about this when she says this. And here's how it's being handled. And I guess it didn't get fixed in the meeting. And I'm like, what? I don't, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. But you just wasted 3 hours of my time.
Yeah.
And like, what do you expect? Like, we didn't walk away steps ahead. You guys are both completely uncomfortable having these conversations. I don't know, man. It's really interesting. I'm starting to wonder what it would be like to be a business owner with zero employees. Scenario A, you sell a product. And then scenario B, business owner, zero employees, and you provide a service. I would love a comparison between these where you don't have anybody that you have to manage, that you have to monitor, that you have to babysit, handhold, that you have to retrain, that you have to fire, and then you have to go out and hire. And I mean, like all of these aspects of small business or even middle-sized business owning, everybody I hear, everybody we talk to, everybody that I communicate with about this, it's always complaints and always struggles with employees.
Yeah.
And with all of the stuff, right? The logistics that come with employees. I don't know. Thoughts? Do you have thoughts on that? I mean, like, how would you run the cave? Let's say you were in a position to do and provide those services. What would
So
that
we
look?
so we are a service company, right? I'm not selling any products. There's not a single thing that we do unless you want to buy like, our numbing cream, or if you want to buy our collagen, or if you want to buy our, vitamin pack. Just go online, right? Just go to Amazon, you can buy it there. The point I'm making is somebody comes to the cave, they're paying top dollar for service, right? And the receipt that they get says Medical Man Cave Services. Okay, so that's awesome because like HSA cards can be used at the cave. And I've got guys who are using their HSA card to pay for the stuff that they want. Now, nobody needs to know what it is that they're doing. The IRS doesn't need to know. The state doesn't need to know. The HSA company doesn't need to know. But it's medically related. I've got a physician. I've got a contract physician. And that's the plan, to have him as a contractor, right? We're going to use his license. He's going to be our medical director. But we're going to, as I kind of talked about this earlier, we're trying to make all of the employees contractors to where everybody knows what their role as a contractor is. Is it a 8 hour a day contract? Yes, it is. Could it be 10 hours one day? Yeah, it might. hmm Are you getting paid more for it? No. You're going to get paid for an 8 hour a day contract. That's just what you're going to do, right? And by doing that, you don't end up dealing with the employee side of things nearly as much. Now, you still have to manage these people and you still have to be a leader in the office and you still have to set standards and you still have to show examples, et cetera. That's all that still has to happen just because you're always going to have the people whose idea it is. And then you're going to have the contractors that are helping to fulfill that idea. So, but you lessen the amount of what you just described, the 3 hours wasted time. You're telling me you and Jess, so you, the administrator and an owner, and physician and owner, had to sit down with two employees of some type, whether it's clinical or support staff, whatever, and foster some kind of a negotiation between Hamas and Israel about, are things going okay? I mean, that sounded like what you were describing. It literally sounds like two people who are not getting along
Mhm.
or are not communicating well.
That's 100% what it is.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that's just it's people and dealing in the HR world. And I think the HR world is something that's been just like liberalism and just like a lot of just the governmentism and the need for more bigger and bigger and bigger overreach. I think that's been forced upon society, and we are all starting to succumb more and more to it. The expectation is that if I'm having a problem at work, well, I can take it to the owners and I can take it to the manager, and the manager needs to figure out the solution for me. And that's what's starting to happen. And that's exactly what you just described. You got two employees that brought it to your attention, and then they sat there, and you, Ryan, and Jess clearly didn't come up with the right solution because that person, as you said, wrote you a nice email saying that there's not the right solution. This
Mhm.
sounds to me like crap you hear on the news if you even watch the news every day. He said, she said, there's no solution. Well,
Yeah.
it's a tough road to hoe. But you do provide services. You are, I mean, from what I know about Jess's, the main company, I think the foot and ankle company, that is a service. Those
Oh yeah.
surgeries are
Well,
services.
and I think my point was just the idea of a business with no employees.
Mm,
Like again, where if you're the owner, you are providing the service. Let's just say you
yeah,
own a barbershop, right?
yeah,
You own a barbershop and you cut hair. That's what you do. You own it, you operate it, and you've got a schedule and you use an online scheduler, and you are literally the only person that cuts hair. It's your little shop and you have one little barber stool and you don't have to manage anybody. You don't have to, get a call from a loyal customer who's mad because Joe didn't show up for the haircut and Joe forgot to hit his fucking alarm on the night before. Whatever. Like the list goes on and on. I think it would be interesting to think about the dynamics of that situation compared to the barbershop who has six stylists. Like, okay, what's the margin? What's the profit? What's this? But then look at like everything else. Like,
yeah,
are the employees happy? Is the owner happy? Is the owner making more money? Is the owner really making more money? And because time is money, right? Those 3 hours that we spent on Friday, that's money. At my billable rate in my main business, that's a lot of money. And so it's fascinating to me. And we've got a couple different business advisors, but the one we've used for gosh, 15 plus years now, she tells us all the time, be careful about getting too big. Just be careful. Like know what you're getting into. Know what it means to bring a new lawyer into the firm. Know what it means to bring a new physician into the practice. Know what it means to hire a new consultant with the group. Know what that means because it's not just, hey, we've got clients or hey, the products are blowing off the shelf. We need to figure out how to move more. Let's bring in somebody else because it's not that easy. It doesn't just, it doesn't I don't know. I guess again, just trying to wrap my head around at what point do you go, this just isn't worth the money? Or whatever else you're chasing to try to grow, right? For those people who are building businesses, are you trying to build it so you can sell it? Are you trying to make it really big so it's worth 30 million rather than 10? Okay, that's great. But what are those 5 or 10 years going to be like when you're slaving away, getting it from 10 to 30? Like, are you going to have a heart attack? Are you gonna have balance in your life? Are you gonna be spending time with your family, your friends? Or are all you do is work because you're chasing that day where it's going to be 30 million? And then what happens if you don't have a buyer? Right? Like all of these things. And I've had this conversation with some business owners in the last couple of months, just not on a deep level, just very interested in their approach. Most business owners don't even know what the end goal is. They're not really sure like what they're chasing. And I'm like, well, what do you have your goals in place? Like, have you taken time to put these things together? What is the 5 year plan? What's the vision of the company? What do you want to do with this? Are you going to work here until you retire? Is your last day going to be at the desk here at the office? Or do you want to retire in 10 years? And what does that look like? Are you going to be able to just retire and walk away? Or is there going to have to be some sort of transition, right? And it's amazing to me how many business owners they can't answer that question. They don't really know. They haven't taken time to think about what that plan is. They're just working.
Yeah.
And you know, I don't know. I feel bad for those that are grinding away, running the race of life per se, because it kind of affects both of you, personal and professional, if it's your business. They're running a race and there's no finish line.
You ever
Or
thought,
line is.
have you ever thought about giving ownership, small bits of ownership to certain employees? Not obviously not all employees, but you've got that one really, let's just say you've got an office manager, or you've got that billing manager, or whatever, and you go to them and you say, hey, listen, you've been here for 2 years, really excited about what you've been doing. Would like to keep you on board. We'd like to offer you an ownership piece in this company, and it looks like this, right? And we're going to offer you, we want you to sign this, contract to work here for a minimum the next 2 years. We're going to give you 3% of the company. And then we're going to have you know, maybe quarterly, maybe just an annual profit payout at the end of the year. And your work in billing, or your work in management, or your work at, driving new patients in, marketing to get us more clients for more surgeries. I don't know, right? Just whatever. But your work at the end of the year, here's some metrics. And if we're achieving these profitability metrics, you're going to get paid, 3% on that. So at the end of the year, there's an extra $100,000 that came in based upon the company's efforts and these metrics you made. 3% of $100,000. There you go. That's a nice little chunk of change in your pocket. And you have a piece of ownership. And then you ever thought about doing that? Because that was pitched to me the other day by a guy that we're actually working with as a potential owner with myself, my ownership group, to buy the man cave. And he was, if you listened to the cast we did last Friday, we were talking about this, and he brought it up, and I was like, that's a really genius idea in the right circumstance when you have a profitable company.
Yes. Yeah.
So
So I read a book about, I don't know, 7 or 8 years ago. I believe it's called Shareholders Not Employees,
yeah.
or something along that lines. A good book. And it got me kind of stirring on, for my business at the time. I had several strength coaches underneath me, and I was looking at doing that same thing because my turnover of strength coaches was happening like every 1 to 2 years. And it's hard to find a really good, like, squared away strength coach. I'm not talking personal trainers, I'm talking strength coaches. And you have that small demographic of strength coaches who are either running their own business and they're doing well, or they're working for a college or a pro team as a head strength and conditioning coach. And the rest of the industry is personal trainers that are working at 24 Hour Fitness and Lifetime, right?
Right. Right.
And so I was like, man, I really want to look into this. And we have a great attorney group in Castle Rock. We drafted up some agreements and it all fell through. And we actually considered it later on with Jess. And there's never been, we've had that conversation many times, and there's never been the interest there. And I think what I've realized is people are afraid of commitment. And if it's not their business and you're offering them a small little sliver of that pie, and they're not sure what life's going to throw them. They're not sure if they're going to stay in that job. They're not sure if they're going to live in Colorado for the next 20 years. It's this almost like, well, if I commit to this, like I'm handcuffed, I'm in. Like, well, yeah, like this is a two-way street, right? Like we're trying to find people who are loyal to the company and we're offering you a kickback. And yes, it comes with some responsibilities like a 2 or 3 year or maybe a 5 year contract that you're gonna have to sign. It's like, nah, that's not for me. It's like, okay. I mean, it's interesting. We came across that in almost every situation.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, and that's just it right there. And Ryan, I'll bet you even if you hired somebody on board and said this is going to be a 5-year job and we're offering you 25% ownership piece. As long as we're profitable and you're meeting these metrics at the end of the year when we do profit sharing and payouts on profit, as long as we're making above this number, then you're going to make 25% of that 100,000 or 200,000 or whatever it is, right? Whatever it is, you still probably get them to say no. You're probably still going to have them say no.
yeah.
You know?
And here's another piece to this. What's interesting in the medical practice. So we've gone two different directions with the comp plan when we bring in new doctors. And since 2010, the practice has, gosh, brought on one, two, three, four, five, six, seven physicians over that period of time. And we've offered options for the comp plan to every one of those physicians. It's amazing to me how many people decline a high commission. They want the low commission with a portion of salary. They want the combo. Security. I'm afraid of what would happen if I'm all commission. What if I can't get clients? What if I don't see patients? It's like then you don't get paid.
Yeah.
But when you do, and when you go to the chamber, and when you go out and market yourself in the community, and when you attend these events and you get your name out there, like you're building your business because you're not taking a bigger chunk. But no, no, no. Instead of 40%, give me 30 or give me 25, and then can I have 5K guaranteed every month? It's like, where are the go-getters? Where the hell are the go-getters at? We had one, and that go-getter was the doctor that stayed with us until he retired. He was a previous practice owner himself for 20 years.
Yeah. So he understood it.
Exactly. And he
Yeah.
came in, we said, "Hey, we've got comp plan A, comp plan B." And he goes, "Are you serious?" We said, "Yeah, you got options." And he goes, "No." He goes, "Why would I do a lower commission with that little bit of security every single month? I'm going to go and I'm going to hunt and I'm going to kill and I'm going to take a big chunk of what I hunt and kill."
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
where are these people at?
Don't know.
Are they is it generational? I like
Yeah.
I haven't seen these people in over 10 years.
Well,
I
first of
don't
all,
understand where they're at.
if any of these people have higher education, they're not teaching any of this kind of in higher education, especially in the physician level. And I don't my goal in this statement isn't to denigrate physicians, but doctors these days and the doctors in the last 20 years, they're not taught these kinds of things. They go to med school, then they do their residency, and then they're taught what they're taught in med school and those residencies, and they get the experience under the belt, and then they get out and they get their first job, and normally it's working in a health system. And now they're just part of the system, right? They get paid a salary, they got their health benefits, they're working the shifts, they're on call for certain things. Then they have their days off, and then they've got their health benefits and da da da, da, right? And they do that for a while, and you get a small fraction of those entrepreneurs who step out and say, I want to have my own spot, and I want to market my own, and I want to do my own thing. And then they go down that route. But that's just not, this is not something that's taught in business schools. I mean, if you went to entrepreneurial business school, yeah, but they're not teaching that in medicine, right?
Mm-mm.
And you and I are both in a medical based system, where, luckily for us, and then not luckily for us, we are cash only. Credit cards, cash. I don't care how you get it to me, it's cash, right? Services. You guys take insurance. And I don't know how much your business is also cash based, but if you're probably, can I guess maybe like an 80/20
Oof.
services?
No, for cash to insurance,
Yeah, yeah.
oh, we're probably 95/5.
Oh, wow. Yeah. So I mean, maybe that's something you guys should maybe consider, and starting to diversify offerings in your office that are more cash based. But I don't know. I mean, that's your business. I don't, I mean, I understand your business, but what else could a foot and ankle surgeon be offering? There's a lot of things you guys could be offering that are in that more aesthetics, more kind of, you know, what do women like? What do men like? Outside of just having, the foot surgeries, or the podiatric, is that the right word? Offerings. What, is there something else that could be done? And do you have staff that could support that? And is, or I don't know, but those are kind of some of the thoughts on
Yeah, and
diversification.
we've got a handful of the ancillaries. We've got laser, we've got shockwave, we've
Yeah.
got fat pad, we've got PRP, stem cell. But people, I think when you think of going to a physician's office for a medical doctor appointment, you're, at least in the podiatric world, you're used to going and giving your insurance card and paying a copay.
Yeah.
And so this, hey, yeah, we do offer a fungal treatment for your nails, and summer's around the corner. So your laser treatment, you're gonna have 4 treatments for whatever, $800. And they're like, "Whoa, does insurance cover that?" You're like, "No, insurance doesn't cover that. This is a ancillary service." And they're like, "Well, then no way, no, thank you." And in our demographic is on the older side,
Yeah.
a little more mature in age. So they're just used to that, right? As opposed to, I've told Jess many times, like we could technically change that culture. We could start to slowly evolve into a more cash base. Look at around. We've had an interview with a doc 2 weeks ago who's in concierge. Jess and I have been using concierge functional medicine for several years now, and it's moving into the other specialties, which is nice. And Jess is doing some research in that and dabbling into that, and it's good because it's like you got to get away from that. That's the way medicine is going.
Hmm.
And if you're not on that train, you're going to miss it. And then you're going to be left behind with an insurance card, and everyone's going to be like, that's no good here, man.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
And you're like, hey, here's my United card. They're like, we don't care. Like,
The government clinic down the street will take
yeah,
that.
yeah, exactly. You're
Go
going to
stand
need
in
to see if
line.
the VA will accept that.
That's right. That's right. Go to the frickin' VA. Oh my gosh, you want to talk about a mess.
Jeez.
My
So,
shoulders jacked up, right? My left shoulder. And it's from my separation from like 5 years ago when I went over my handlebars on my motorcycle. Maybe more than that, maybe more than 5 years. I don't quite recall when it was, but it's been a minute. And I've been fully functional, right? I've been able to do everything that I want to do. Lift, work out, do push-ups, golf, fly fish, camp, whatever. But just since I started really lifting a lot more recently, um, Ryan, my technique must be bad, or I must have done something, or maybe I just did something where I exacerbated it and I haven't given enough time to heal. But it's been like a 9 out of 10 pain. Um, and so I call the VA and I get my primary care doctor, Dr. Strohecker. I don't know if you know who she is. You know who she is?
is that in the Springs?
No, it's up at the big Rocky Mountain VA,
Oh,
$4 billion
freaking
dollar.
A-Town?
Yeah, up in A Town, exactly right. So I call up and I was like, because I don't really know the process yet. I'm starting to learn these processes. So she accepts the appointment. I take a half a day off, drive it to the VA, sit there 20 minutes. She finally brings me in. She's like, "What's going on?" I tell her about and I went there 2 days earlier, right at 4 o'clock to get an X-ray. And they knocked that X-ray out real fast. And so she had it. She goes, "Yeah, you have an AC separation." I told her, I said, "I know. I told you that. I've known I've had an AC separation for a long time." And so she, feels around and she's like, "Yeah, it's a little more ropey over here and it's less over there." And I said, "I know." I said, I'm in pain. I need to see an ortho. If there might be something that we can do, I'm not necessarily looking for surgery, but and I'm certainly not seeking meds. And I told her that flat out. I am not seeking meds. Don't even think about writing me something for XXNX, right? Now, would I take a steroid shot to calm things down for a second? I'd consider that, but really, I want to go talk to ortho. Let's talk about what should I be doing as far as range of motion, just kind of really starting to tighten that up so I can get back. So she talks to me for 5 minutes. She goes, "Okay, I'm going to refer you to ortho." And I'm like, "I took the whole day off, honey. And you just, okay, so ortho's just downstairs." She says, "Well, they should be calling you in a day or so to schedule your appointment." There you go. There you go. There's government
Hey, welcome to the
healthcare.
system. Welcome
Yeah,
to the system, veteran.
that's right. That's your government. And so I said, "But could I go down to ortho?" She says, "Yeah." And then my phone rings. And I was like, "Well, hold on a second." I said, "This is the VA." She goes, "Yeah, answer that. That's probably them trying to schedule you." So I pick up the phone and she's sitting right there and I put it on speaker and "Hey, this is who I am. And yeah, I'm trying like to see if I can schedule you for your ortho." And I said, "Okay." She said, "Looks like you've got a separated shoulder. You want to be seen?" "Yeah, certainly do." She goes, "What?" I mean, our first available appointment isn't for until like, late April. Because of course everything's triaged, right? So
Oh, yeah.
my little AC separation doesn't really, it's not screaming for help, right? Yeah. So, and I said to her, I said, "Well, hey, I'm at the VA right now. Is there a chance that I could just walk down to ortho and, it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Maybe they could fit me in." She goes, "Absolutely. Yeah. If you're in the VA, definitely do that." Okay. So I looked at the doc and she's like, "Well, look at there. You can go downstairs and get seen." And I'm thinking, yeah, I'll believe that one when I see it. So I walk downstairs to ortho, walk in there, and this dude almost bit my head off. He was so nasty. And I said, "Hey, I'd like to see if I can get seen today. I'm hearing that, and he looked at me and he goes, "What's your last name? What's your last four?" He gave it to him. He says, "This hasn't even been triaged yet. We're not even gonna be able to see you till like mid-April." I said, "No, that's what the schedule has said. But my primary said that maybe you could see." "No, there's no way." And then I was like, "Oh, okay." And I walked out. I was like, "There you go. There you go, VA."
I would love a combo at some point. Bring on a vet who has dealt with the VA, like so we three can just banter. I mean, I, I had to pay out of pocket for my cervical spine surgery,
I
right?
didn't know that. No.
I paid for my own MRIs. I paid for all my x-rays. I paid for my PT and I paid for my surgery because the VA couldn't expedite literally a fucking spinal cord issue in a veteran fast enough. Like, I mean, Christian, I paid for my x-rays. I sent them to my doc. I paid for my MRI. I sent it to my doc. "Hey, we might be able to get you in to see ortho." "Okay, well, you better fucking hurry because I can't feel the left side of my upper body." "Okay, we can get you in." "Okay, when?" And it was like 6 months from that conversation. 6 months, not 6 weeks, not 6 days, not fucking 6 hours. And he goes, "You should probably just go to the ER." And I'm like, "I'm close, but I'm not there yet." I go, "You're telling me you can't get me in to see ortho for that long from now? Like this is like right next to an emergency." Christian, this was what I went through for 4 months with the VA. So I tried to wait to see if I could at least get an opinion from ortho. I finally got in to see ortho. I was with a PA in the ortho department over at A-Town. This was after three other neurosurgeons were like, hey, this is going to be surgery, but like, it depends on how bad you think you need it. So this was the fourth doctor appointment. And they're like, okay, we've looked at everything. You've got your opinions. Like, yeah, we could probably expedite this. And I said, what does that even mean? They go, we'll send you to see the neurosurgeon. And I'm like, why couldn't I have seen the neurosurgeon now? They're like, well, you got to go to ortho first. And then ortho has to triage it and figure out which neurosurgeon you need to see. And it's like, are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah, isn't that amazing?
So, yeah, so my neurosurgeon appointment was so many months later that when I finally woke up the day and told Jess, like, I can't do one push up, I can't hang on the bar for 5 seconds, like, I need to go to either the ER or do surgery, like stat. And then I saw my fifth neurosurgeon on the civilian sect that day, and he took me into surgery the next morning. And I paid for it all out of pocket.
Wow.
I wrote to Congress, I wrote to senators, I wrote to every government person I could find in Colorado and said, I need you to tell me if this sounds right to you.
Yeah. And
Nothing. Nothing.
no response.
Like in I mean, heaven forbid it was like a life and death situation. I mean, I've read the literature. You can go to the ER. There's like some weird stuff in there. You got to call within 72 hours and tell the VA where you're at. Like
Yep. Yep.
they make sure that it's like they're covering their ass, but I've got people who have taken that route and they still had to cover the ER bill out of their own pocket. Like just stupid stuff. It's like anything else. You talk to these guys who try to get their disability, the paperwork, the legwork, the delays, the appointments, the medical professional opinion, years. And then finally, like, yeah, we'll give you 10% for tinnitus.
I just got that. I just got that.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's
I
like,
got my I did my hearing exam 2 weeks ago and I got my 10% for my tinnitus. Yeah. So
welcome.
what? So my ears ring and they have my whole freaking time spending 4 years with the Marine Corps, shooting guns and blowing things up and putting some weird ass ear protectors in your ears that
They don't do anything.
don't do anything. But
No.
yet the government's like, here's 10%. What does 10% mean? I mean, Ryan, if you were to look at my disability rating right now, if you actually could add up all the percentages, I'm like 125%.
Oh, but they don't add it up that way,
No,
Christian.
they certainly do not. They
Come on.
certainly do
Why
not.
would they add it up like most people add up numbers? We're
No, why
not going
would
to
they
do
do
it that
that?
way. We're
No.
going to give you 10% as tinnitus and we're going to bump you from 40 to 42.
I'm
Like,
80. Did I tell you that?
no,
Yeah,
nice.
I got to 80 and
Nice.
I haven't even submitted my Nexus letter outlining my debilitating drop foot and about 20 ICD-10 codes that go along with that. So
Get on it.
that's that. Well,
Get
no,
on it.
we were waiting for the tinnitus to be done, and it is now. So I just
Okay.
reached out to the guy who's helping me out, and I was like, "All right, submit it, man. Let's submit that Nexus letter."
Yep. Get it going, man, because by 2035, you might get an extra 10%. Oh man. Okay.
You know I've discovered. I'll say this last thing about the VA, and I texted this to Elizabeth when I was sitting there. I was sitting there waiting for my X-ray, and then I was actually also waiting to pick up a prescription. And I just sat there, and it was a busy time at the VA on a Thursday, I think it was a Tuesday or Wednesday or Thursday. And if you just sit and you've been to the big A town, right?
Yep.
So you sit, where you get your X-rays done and where you pick up your meds and where you can do lab work and everything. It's kind of that big collection area right there. And you go to the kiosk and you enter, what are you there for? And so, I entered that I needed to pick up my meds. And so immediately my name is called and you sit in front of some guy and he looks at you and he's like, okay, you're picking up this med. Do you know what it's for? Do you have any questions about it? Great. Okay. Now go back to there, wait till you see your name and then go back to the kiosk and put that number in, and then you'll get a new number, and then you wait for fulfillment. So in that 45-minute waste of time, I watched veterans roll in, veterans roll out of all shapes, colors, and sizes, all sexes, males and females. And this is the one thing that I deduce about the VA. The VA is not there for veterans who need things taken care of in a hurry. It is absolutely designed for veterans who have nothing but time on their hands. That's what it's designed for. You have plenty of time on your hands to come to the VA at 8 o'clock in the morning and plan to be here until 3 o'clock in the afternoon, right? That's how the VA works. It caters to the slowest common denominator, not lowest, the slowest common denominator.
Yep.
And I watched these guys amble in and they'd sit down and they'd get on their phone and they'd play their games on their phone. I mean, I was just like, I just need Cipro, just I just need 10 days of Cipro. Just prophylactic. It's just I'm going to Mexico. Just 10 days of Cipro. Can we knock that out in like 10 minutes? Nope.
No.
45 minutes.
You hit it on the head. Yes, I think the majority of people, to your point, are either homeless and or jobless.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's like they can go in there. I mean, it's warm inside. There's coffee. There's, cheap food. There you can walk around. You can see your buddies. You can shoot the shit. It's like an old person's home. You go there and then hopefully you're not there for 6 hours. But like I never I never go to A Town without at least 4 hours to spare because I just know. I've learned. And I try to avoid A Town as much as I can, except those few specialties. So I go to Colorado Springs, but I will be going to the new Castle Rock one, which is
Oh yeah.
opening real soon. So
May. Now it's May. It was supposed to be open in February.
uh,
Now it's May.
I heard April. So it's May now.
Yeah,
Jeez.
that's what Dr. Strohecker told me, and she's the lead physician. She's in charge of all of the physicians in all of the Colorado-based clinics. She is the head. And so she said, yeah, it's May now. And I looked at her, I said, what's the delay? She says, well, you don't pay attention to the news. And I said, I haven't seen anything in the news where it says the VA should be slowing things down. Well, there's budget cuts and there's this and that. And I'm like, I'm not even going to engage this woman on this conversation, just not even
No,
going to do it.
no, don't go down that road.
Mm-mm, it's not worth
Um,
it.
okay, man. So let's what's next week look like for you? I actually, you know what? I don't even have my phone in front of me. Let's get a text thread going
Hold on
and
a second. Let me tell Randy. Let's get Randy on the phone. Randy, jump in. So I was supposed to have a guy join us today. I was supposed to have my buddy Gary Timms. He's like he confirmed last night that he's good to go to jump on,
dang
and
it.
he just totally ghosted me. The dude's hilarious. We'd have had an absolute blast just chatting up Gary Timms. I mean, that dude is funny as shit. Veteran, hospital corpsman, then became an army medic. Did a couple tours in Afghanistan, Iraq. I mean, the dude's awesome. I mean, this whole conversation would have been perfect for Gary.
Okay, let's get him on next time.
Yeah, he was supposed to be on today. So a couple things that I talked to Randy today. He called me. Um, he wants us to do more intros. Your intro, looking at the camera. He wants me to do my intros, some more of our intros. He wants you to talk more about your executive coaching, like And I'm that's what he was asking today. He was wanting to do that. And then his other request was this. This Sunday, his brother, who's also in kind of the same industry that Randy's in, is going to be in Aurora and was hoping to possibly have access to you and I to get some more B-roll footage. And I told him, I said, I could make myself available. I can't speak for Ryan's availability on a Sunday. So I don't know.
Okay, do you know what time?
I do not know.
Okay. Let's I'll throw a quick word out on me, you, and Randy's text and just see if he can give me a time for that. And then I can see what we got spinning.
Yeah.
Um, Next week is spring break. We're gone for about 4 days, but the 2 days we're here, I kind of carved out some time. So hopefully some of those days can work. But again, I don't know why I didn't bring my no, yeah, I didn't bring my phone down. So let's try to get something locked and then yeah, if I can make Sunday happen, I'll do my best.
So I'm going to pivot on you if you got a few minutes left, and we'll give
I
Randy just Do you?
Literally, like I got to be rolling wheels up to pick up the kids in about 4 minutes.
All right. Tell me about when you guys went to Belize. Where did you guys stay? Do you
Uh,
remember?
so after we left Belize City, we stayed. My gosh. Um, I can get you the itinerary. We have the whole itinerary. I'll just send it to you because if we go back, we're doing the same exact thing.
So we're
Um,
staying in an Airbnb down in a town called Hopkins.
we stayed in Hopkins
Okay. So there's a
for
little
like
air.
2 nights.
Yeah, there's a little home down there. It's right on the beach. They've got their own like private beach. They've got a little golf cart. You can drive into Hopkins and just do everything in Hopkins. That's what we're doing. We're doing it in June from the 4th to the 10th. It's for Owen's graduation present. Um,
Nice.
and we're gonna go and I'm gonna run a Jeep and we're gonna do some of the exploration around the place. Check out like the freshwater cave that you can kind of float through. Did you ever do that or did you hear about
We,
that?
we didn't do it. We heard about the kids were so young. They were like
Yeah,
one. So we just hiked and
yeah,
we did the
yeah.
golf carts on the island. We took the ferry over to the island and did the golf cart where there's no cars. It's only golf carts.
Fun.
What the hell was that island? There's two islands. Geez, I'm drawing a blank on all of it. Yeah, let me get the itinerary and I'll throw it to you because I'm trying to think of the place we stayed in Hopkins. It was a small little like private, probably four little bungalow
Oh, cool.
resort.
Yeah.
But Hopkins was cool. We went inland into the rainforest, like where the howler monkeys are.
Yeah.
Uh, Stayed at this like crazy ass outdoor, like literally in the jungle type of resort. That place is magical. I wish I wouldn't have talked Jess out of buying a beachfront place. That was dumb.
Yeah, I think that those kind of places are pretty cool. I was just in Cancun. Did I tell you that? I just got
Yeah,
back
yeah,
yesterday.
yeah.
Yeah, and Cancun's only about 2 hour drive to Belize City.
Oh yeah. It's
Yeah,
it's I mean, Belize City is a sweet spot for a lot of reasons, but
yeah,
like yeah, you can get there and I don't know how many years it'll take before it gets disrupted or overbuilt, but man, that place is magical.
yeah.
Just
We're looking forward
raw,
to it.
raw. So, um, all right. Well, I'll throw a text out on the Randy thread and see what Sunday looks like. And then, so you guys are going when? In June or
Yeah,
May?
June 4th to the 10th,
Okay.
and then
Nice.
in May, I really need to go fly fishing. You want to come?
And what time frame?
I don't know, just like a couple of days up in Wyoming. Usually I go around my birthday, which is the May 20th time frame. And I usually drive up to Casper and stay overnight. Um, and then fish all day, stay overnight, one more fish all day again, and then drive home. So I usually make like a 2 day trip out of it to where I can get, maximum river time, maximum fish catching time with a guide, you know, that's pretty
So
much
you're
it.
talking like the week before Memorial Day.
Let me look at the calendar. I'll tell you. My birthday is a Tuesday, so it could be the weekend before my birthday. Personally, I like doing it during the week, but that's harder for most people to try and join me. You know,
Yeah, we could be tough for sure. Because I actually start training athletes your birthday week, the week of the 19th.
so it could be like we could drive down on a Friday after work, and then you fish Saturday, all day Saturday, and you could do say a half day Sunday, or you could do a full day Sunday, and then you bust out. You get off the river at 4 p.m. You get in your car and you drive home Sunday. You're back, Monday around 10 p.m. I was thinking about something like that.
Okay. Well, let me know if I mean, the weekend after your birthday is Memorial Day weekend.
The
Um,
24th, 25th. Yeah.
yeah.
No,
Uh,
I definitely wouldn't be doing it that weekend.
okay. Um, yeah, let me kind of peek at what we got brewing here. I know we're putting together all of our we're finalizing all of our camping. I hate how Colorado requires 6 months of booking. It drives me freaking bonkers. There's people sitting in front of their laptops, and when 12:01 hits, they're just firing away at bookings. It's out of control. So
I know women who have apps that they've actually downloaded that basically tracks when things open up and it grabs them spots. There's actually apps out there, Ryan.
I believe it. Yeah, it's
Yep.
like Jess. We went to a few a couple weeks ago, and it was 6 months out. And she's like, "Babe, there's nothing." She's like, "There's not one site," and I'm like, "You got to be kidding me! Not one site." And we were, I don't know, 9 o'clock in the morning. Like it had opened that morning at midnight, and it was
Yeah.
9 hours later, and they were booked. Like it's
Have you
just,
have you
I
ever
don't know.
done Lake Wellington?
No, I know you've talked about it a lot. We're just doing so much more dispersed now that like that's our style. So I'm sick of dealing with the lottery system. So our rig will go so far out there, further than any vehicle can go. So we're just doing dispersed. That way you're out in the middle of absolute nowhere. We can take the dirt bikes, the Polaris, just have
Yeah.
fun. No noise pollution, no light pollution. So
No, that's
we're
the
gonna,
best way to go.
yeah, quite a bit more of those. All right,
Got it.
man.
All right.
Boogie.
See you. Bye.
All right, see ya.